All right, let's talk about the most complex and honestly, the most powerful object in the entire known universe. And the wild part is, it's that 3 pound supercomputer sitting right inside your skull. We're going to explore its incredible processing power, its very unique operating system, and, best of all, how you can keep upgrading it for your entire life. So let's boot it up.
So, to kick things off, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer power we're dealing with here. The world's fastest supercomputer, it needs a staggering 24 million watts of electricity to run. Your brain, on the other hand, it just sips on about 20 watts. That's about the same as a dim little light bulb. And yet, it operates an estimated 100,000 times faster. It is, without a doubt, the undisputed champion of efficiency. And it's not just about saving energy, it's about raw speed. Information zipping around inside your head can travel up to 260 miles per hour. That leaves a Formula One car completely in the dust. But, with all that power and all that speed, how does this supercomputer actually build our reality? Well, as we're about to see, the process isn't always what you might expect. Okay, Section 1, Perceiving a Strange Reality. This brings us to the brain's unique operating system and how it actually interprets the world around you. Because the reality you experience, it's not a direct recording. Nope, it's a construction. And sometimes it can be a very strange one. Okay, get this. There was this guy, Bruce Bridgman, and for his entire life, we're talking 67 years, he had a condition called stereo blindness. For him, the world had no depth. It was totally flat, kind of like watching an old movie on a tube TV. He had no idea what he was even missing. So then one day, he goes to see the movie Hugo in 3D. He kind of reluctantly puts on the glasses, and there, in the dark of the theater, something just unlocked. A switch flipped in his brain that had been totally dormant for almost 7 decades. And just like that, bam, the world exploded into 3 dimensions. Lampposts on the streets suddenly seemed to jump out at him. Even his own hands took on a depth he'd never, ever seen before. His story is just this powerful testament to the brain's incredible ability to adapt and rewire itself no matter how old you are. And this creativity, it doesn't just stop with space. It happens with color, too. Take magenta, for example. Unlike red or blue, there's no single wavelength of light for magenta. It doesn't exist out there. Your brain literally invents it when it processes all the visible light, except for green. It's a beautiful fabrication. So, a machine this creative and complex must have some serious maintenance requirements, right? You bet it does. So let's look at what it takes to keep this whole system running. We're going to dive into the essential fuel and the daily maintenance that your personal supercomputer needs to perform at its absolute peak. Okay, first up, and this one's so simple, water. Your brain is 73% water. That means that even a tiny drop, just 2% in hydration, can immediately tank your attention, your memory, and your other cognitive skills. That next glass of water you drink isn't just refreshing, it's a genuine performance booster. I mean, this thing is an energy hog. While your brain only makes up about 2% of your body's weight, it uses up a massive 20% of your body's total oxygen and calories. It demands this constant, rich supply of resources just to keep all those signals firing at 260 miles per hour. And, this cleanup crew doesn't clock out when you go to bed. Actually, some of the most important work happens while you're fast asleep. Your brain starts this cleaning cycle where it literally flushes spinal fluid through its tissues to wash away all the junk, the metabolic waste. And one of those waste products is a protein called amyloid beta, whose buildup is directly linked to Alzheimer's. So yeah, sleep isn't just rest. It's a critical system restore. Want a simple hardware upgrade? Check your diet. The fatty acids you find in seafood have been shown to directly boost the parts of the brain that are responsible for memory. So adding a little more fish to your plate can literally help you remember more. But even with the best fuel, this super complex system can still, it can still have glitches. Which brings us to Section 3, Glitches, Bugs, and Blackouts. Let's explore some of the fascinating and sometimes strange errors that can pop up in the brain's complex programming.
All right. You know that weird, spooky feeling, that sensation that you've lived a moment before? We've all had it. But what is it really? What is déjà vu? Well, the leading theory is that it's basically just a timing glitch. Your brain's memory systems accidentally tag a brand new experience as old, just fractions of a second before your conscious mind gets a chance to process it. So it's not a peek into a past life.
It's just a momentary filing error in your brain. Now, speaking of memory errors, let's talk about alcohol-induced blackouts. A lot of people think you're just forgetting stuff, but that's not what's happening. The reality is actually much weirder. Alcohol can temporarily shut down your hippocampus. That's the part of your brain that makes new memories. So it's not that the files were deleted. The files were never even saved to begin with. And sometimes what seems like a tiny little bug can actually point to a huge system failure. There was this man in the UK who had nonstop hiccups for over 2 years. Can you imagine? Doctors had no idea what was wrong until advanced scans found the cause, a brain tumor. As soon as they removed it, the hiccups just vanished. It's a pretty stark reminder that in this system, everything is connected. But this is the best part about this particular supercomputer. Unlike one you buy at the store, this one isn't static. It's designed to be constantly upgraded and improved. And you are the lead engineer. So let's talk about Section 4, upgrading your brain. So let's get right to it. We always talk about expanding our minds, right? But can learning and new experiences actually physically change the structure of your brain? The answer is a huge, resounding yes. There's this famous study of London taxi drivers who have to memorize the city's 25,000 winding, confusing streets. Well, researchers found that their hippocampus, the brain's memory center, was physically larger than average. The mental exercise literally built a bigger, stronger brain. And look, this isn't just for taxi drivers. It's happening in your brain all the time. When you pull up a memory, you're not just hitting play on a recording. You are actively exercising and strengthening the neural pathway for that memory. Your brain makes new connections, making it stronger and faster to recall next time. The simple act of remembering is actually an act of rewiring. And hey, don't for a second think this is just for kids. Your brain continues to develop and change in major ways well into your late 40s and even beyond. It is fundamentally built for lifelong learning and adaptation. It's never too late. So we'll leave you with this final kind of mind-bending thought. In all the vastness of the known universe, the human brain is the only thing we've ever found that is complex enough to wonder about its own existence. It is the observer and the observed, the tool and the user. So the only question left is, what will you do with yours?